This meeting is being
Hey,
recorded.
look at you. Once again, you have fallen straight into hella Vella and found yourself another Lawless interview. And I'm Azriel Lawless. And today with me as a Vella author is Alethea Eason. Hi, Alethea. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. It's great to have you here. I really enjoyed our pre-talk. We always have pre-game before these recordings get started, and I almost got lost in conversation with Alethea and forgot to hit the record button. So, but here we are. And of course, my first question of any author that sits in the hot seat on the Lawless interviews is, when did you get started writing?
I think I was born a writer. I had a mother who talked and told stories about her childhood in Kentucky quite a bit. And I grew up as an imaginative child. I grew up in Anaheim, and so Disneyland was right there. So that really fueled me. But I think I really knew I was a writer in second grade, and we had to write a story about who we wanted to be, and I chose Jackie Kennedy, which must have been right before Kennedy was assassinated, because that would have been that time. And the principal evidently loved my story, and he came out and wanted to know who I was, and the teacher pointed to me, and it was just like, that was it. I wanted to write. And as a teacher, whenever I've seen children who have a lot of potential, oh, I'm so sorry, who have potential, hopefully that won't go off again. I kind of try to plant that seed because it was important to me. And then in college, I took a creative writing class and found out I had some talent, wrote a lot of poetry in my 20s. I wrote some really bad fiction for quite a while. Since I was an English major, I was a good reader, and I knew it was bad, so it was a kind of hard my ego, but I did my million words or whatever you need to do, and I started publishing in my 30s. And since then, I've written lots of poetry, short stories, novels, and essays, whatever.
Wonderful. Wow, that's wonderful. So when did you hear about Hella Vella, or not Hella Vella, sorry. Now I'm using that as the official name now. When did you hear about Vella, and how did you hear about it?
One of my friends who lives here in town part-time is Kendra Griffin, and we were taking a walk last Christmas while she was here on her vacation from Colorado, and we were walking on a very cold day up on this little ridge, and she mentioned Vella and that she had been publishing there and was getting some money. And so that, I would say by the next day, I had decided what project I wanted to do, which was a novel I had written 20 years ago and put aside. And so that was my format. I mean, the novel changed, of course, but that was sort of my outline to use. And that's when I started writing.
Right.
I started
that
in January. I started actually writing and posting in
February. February. January. Okay. I'm sitting here with my mouth hanging open because I remember Kendra talking about recruiting somebody.
Must have been me.
I think it was you. It has to be you. And very
I'm
good.
looking down just to turn off my phone, so excuse me. I just don't want that to happen again. I apologize about that.
That's okay. That's okay. I think part of if there is any charm to these recordings, part of it is just that we are just talking.
We will not be disturbed.
Okay. That's all right. That's all right. So, all right. So, Alethea, you got recruited over here. How did you find it? How's your story done since you've come over?
I really liked the format. I wondered how challenging it was going to be because even though I had an outline, to write in episodes and put them up without having my manuscript complete was a little scary, but I found that it really worked for me, and that it was just a very organic process. And I tend to worry about how to tie all the loose ends together, though by now I should know that it all works out. But by golly, it did. The last episode, everything tied together, and I was just incredibly delighted. There are a couple things I might change if I ever took off, wrote about an actual book with the story, or if I went back. But I think that's with any writing. But I liked the challenge, and I was able to put out at least a couple a month, sometimes more. And then there's 2 places where the story jumps 3 years. And so that took a little getting it worked out. So I have had some spaces between those 2 periods, but I really enjoyed it. And I liked the immediacy of it and just seeing it there. And then, the back and forth with editing, which I did quite a bit, finding those typos.
Yeah, and we were talking before we hit record, we were talking about the length of your Vella, and it is, and again, it's Charlotte and the Demons, and the length of your Vella, it's a full-length novel. You said it was over 60,000 words.
Yes. So each episode is long. They're close to 5,000 words each one. So whatever 5,000 times 17 is, but it is a full-length novel. Yes.
And that's very good. Now, has anyone given you any pushback on the length of the episodes?
Not at all. No.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because yeah, I'm always getting comments. It costs 25 coins to read this episode.
Well, I think most of my readers are new to Vella, so they got the 3 episodes and the 500 tokens, and I think that helped.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a lot of readers, but the ones who have read it and completed it have just been enthusiastic about it. And I'm trying to find other writers to be interested, and I haven't done so yet. But yeah, next time I might write shorter novels if I write shorter segments. But since I knew it was mostly people that I care and love, I have a very loyal fan base of about 20 people. And, I wanted the longer episodes because I thought those people would appreciate those things. So.
Very cool. Very cool. And we were also talking about off camera, we were talking about future plans that you might have for a Vella. And you do have some plans on the cooker, don't you?
I do. I have this huge manuscript called Tide and Sea, which is about mermaids, but not your, Disney sort of fairy tale mermaids. These are tough mermaids. And there's a war, there's intrigue. There is a narcissistic mother who recruits her, well, she actually drowns her daughter so that she will become a mermaid and hopefully fulfill a prophecy that the mother wants to fulfill. She's sort of like a stage mother. She can't have the prize, but maybe her daughter can. And it has historical fiction. I mean, I go into the Russian Revolution, and I go into this the lover of her mother, who's this poet who is from Spain, and he comes to fight in the Mexican Civil War, and is actually against the French, because it's in the 1860s, 70s when he comes. And he goes up to where I used to live in California, up in the Fort Bragg area, and Fort Ross, and that's where the 2 of them will meet. And then the story goes on from there. But there are octopus that have been, who are sort of engineered octopus who do this, all the chores and the menial chores in this big city that's under the ground. There's the myth of where the mermaid started, which sort of I don't want to say it's a vampire sort of thing, but this beautiful woman drowns in the sea god who I can't remember
Poseidon.
exactly who it was. Poseidon, thank you. It's been a while since I wrote that part, but he loves her and kisses her, and she becomes this mermaid. And so Marina, who is the girl who transforms, has that blood. And so, she is there to try to unite the different factions. There's like the corporate faction that live very well, and then there's the rebels who want to be back like to the old times of where the people used to live, like the people that the mermaids used to live before this human hybrid sort of thing happened. So anyways, It's pretty expensive. So I got lots of material to work with.
Yeah. You said you like 400 some odd pages already.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
I have it at this point. I have it all the stories interweaving because I like those type of novels. But now, and with the advice of my writing group, I'm thinking of just series. Starting maybe with the origins and then working up chronologically into what I see is the story that I started with.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. Serialize it.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That should be cool. And so you've done a fair bit of writing. You have more than just Vella out there. You've said already that you have a number of novels and novellas and short stories and poetry and things. Now, when I link to your Amazon author page, are folks going to be able to find all that stuff right there?
They will.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Because that link will be in there, like always on these interviews. A link to her author page will be there for you guys to follow. So you have read Vella's, right? You've read some Vella. Yes, I imagine you read some in preparation for writing some. So
I did, yes.
And I'm going to
ask my writing group all got on the Vella. That's what I did. I recruited them. I told them about Vella, and they all got on the bandwagon, I believe. So,
anyway. So these are your shout outs. I wanted to say the words before you started prattling off the names. Okay. Because folks, she was ready. I'm
ready.
Okay,
so,
let's go.
There is the author Chris Neary, who is has a following for quirky mysteries, and
what's the name again?
Chris Neary, Krisneri, and she has written at least a couple of Vellas, I believe. And I'm looking down because I'm trying to find the title for Chris. Her latest book is Hopscotch Life, which isn't a Vella, but here we go. And I apologize. I could have made a list, but let me go on. There's Kate Rauner, who has this couple of stories. One is a story of a parrot who narrates the story, and it's about a spaceship that is an intergenerational spaceship that goes from Earth to wherever the new Earth, wherever they're living. And it's like the third generation living aboard. And so they have parrots because they are they're long-lived as animals, as for pets and stuff. So he tells the story about the conflict of in the crew in this very critical time where they are switching their power system and needing to be very much self-contained as they keep on exploring.
Okay.
And
What's
then,
the name of the Vella? What is the name of it?
oh, that's why
We gotta have names, man.
I gotta have names. Give me a moment.
This meeting is being recorded.
So, okay, so we were working on your shout outs. We have Chris Neri, and you said she wrote several different things, but one of them is Boffo News.
Boffo News, BOFFO News.
That's awesome. I remember the first place I heard Boffo, Terry Pratchett's writings.
Huh.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett. That's the first place I heard that word. It's just like, clownish, like, that kind of thing. Over the
Right.
top.
Well, this is a story of a young woman who is dealing with some intrigue and murder in LA, but there's some comic elements to the story too.
Okay, excellent. Well, that sounds really good. And that's Chris Neri. And then there was Kate Rauner, and that's spelled Rauner. And she writes science fiction, right?
She writes science fiction. Her science fiction is absolutely beautiful. She is a retired nuclear engineer, and she has, I mean, a lot of her writing just goes like this in terms of her techie part. She has these wonderful characters too, but her tech writing is like poetry. So even though I'm not really sure what she's talking about sometimes, it's still beautifully written, and I enjoy getting into it. So, and she has a story on Vella called Sci-Fi Generation Ship Tale, and it's about a crew, the third generation of a ship that's traveling from Earth to the new Earth, and it's a multi-generation thing. And this generation knows that they will never see the destination because that's still going to be several generations down the way, but they're in a critical juncture in their trip where the ship shifting power. But the narrator is a parrot, and the parrot just describes everything that's going on, and it's funny, it's unique, and it's also very
wonderful.
Right.
Okay, so that's Sci-Fi Generation Ship Tales.
Yes. Right.
Very cool. And there was a third one?
Yeah, E.J. Randolph, who her story is a story about a planet called New Norway. And it's a woman who is recruited as a psychic spy, and she's going to this planet that is has adopted a lot of the customs of ancient Norway, and so they have limits on their technology, except for the few, and so the vast populace thinks it's magic, and so she's there to sort of like the whole Star Trek thing where you can't interfere in the first
Star Trek. That's the prime directive.
The prime directive. So she's sort of working under a prime directive as she's trying to deal with some danger to the whole federation of planets that's coming. It's going to come from this one planet.
Okay, but this one is called Aliens Take New Norway.
Aliens Take New Norway. Thank you.
Right. And you had a fourth one that we're both very familiar with, mutual friend of ours.
Kenda Griffin, who is a prolific author and a good friend, and she's been very encouraging for my own writing. And her story is about a crew of recruits going to a class that are learning about interdimensional stuff, and it's very, very funny. And the name you remember
is A People's History of Magic. And Kendra is a very beloved author out in the Vella community. And I think her story is great. She she gives back to the community with reviews for other people's Vellas. She has a blog, and interviews authors and does written interviews, whereas I do the video interviews. But she's great. She's great. So we have 4 good shout outs from you, lady. And so we're coming toward the end of this. And the next question I ask you is going to be a toughie. And that is, if you were suddenly put in charge of Vella tomorrow, CEO, Alethea is the CEO. I would like that. That would be cool. Anyway, Alethea, Eason is the CEO of Vella. What would you do, if anything, to improve the reader and writer experience in the platform?
I would probably target the regular Amazon audience more by perhaps having links to Vella to with authors, or put out more information through the Amazon platform to get people to Vella, and also to perhaps put ads up that explain what Vella is, because the hardest thing I have for getting readers is that people don't understand it, and they don't want to click the link, and it has been confusing to some people.
Right.
I would probably invest in some newsprint magazines, have articles, more information to the general public about what Vella is. And I think of anything that would be the most important thing.
So just more blasts, more ad blasts, more, here's this new thing, give it a shot. Amazon could even buy a bunch of Facebook ads and just pound a bunch of Facebook ads, pound a bunch of Instagram ads and say, here's a new way to read. And I got to say, and you as a former teacher, I'm sure that you have found the drastic decrease in readers that we have in this country is just,
it's frightening.
And it is frightening. And see, to me, this is a stopgap. Let's show this to everybody so they can see how fun reading can be, little bits at a time. A kid's attention span anymore, even a high school kid, you got them for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
I like to kind of segue on that because I was a reading specialist, and it would have been wonderful if something like Vella was more available and affordable, so that kids could, all the kids now have their little Chromebooks or whatever, iPads, that that these little stories, they have different formats they read naturally, but something that's really fun that the kids could just read for fun.
Yes.
And make it available in the schools, and for
right.
parents.
Right. And in the libraries,
Yes.
you can check out an ebook. It'd be cool if you could check out a completed serial. Now, I understand that they couldn't carry them until they were completed.
Sure.
And had their full ISBN, but yeah.
It might be fun to have a Kindervella, and or to have
that'd be really
kids
cool.
have a format for kids to publish and write on. So.
Well, I know of a couple of Vella authors whose children are writing stuff, and they're putting it up for them.
Good. Wonderful.
And it's a hell of a platform. It's very inclusive. We're getting a lot of new voices. It's bubbling up a lot of new voices. So I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think if I were keeping a poll, which of course hindsight is 2020, I wish I had been. But if I were keeping a poll, I would say that was probably the number one answer, is to make Vella more visible. And that's what this channel is all about. That's what Hella Vella YouTube's about. That's what Hella Vella Facebook is about. It's never been about Azriel Lawless. It's not.
Right.
It's about, let's bring all these authors out, all these voices. Let's bring them, their readers, their friends, anybody we can find, and let's get them to click on these links and view these videos so that the algorithm will bubble it up to the top and it will be seen by more people, you know?
Right.
So, you know, that's my hope. That's my hope for this channel. But yeah, Zon should do it themselves because they have the wherewithal that I don't have.
I really appreciate you offering this platform. It's been fun, and you are just a fun person to talk with, and so.
You're very sweet. You're very sweet. I just want people to see this. I think it's 2 days ago, I had my 1-year anniversary of publishing in Kindle Vella. And I was so excited because I remember COVID retired me, Alethea, from a very high-tech job. And so I was lost. I just drifted. And I decided I was going to start writing again. I was going to renew that passion in myself, and found it very difficult to sit down and write big chunks, you know, like I used to do before technology ate my brain.
Right.
Technology actually did reconfigure my brain.
And
it reconfigures the brain of everyone who works in it. Anyone who works in tech knows exactly what I'm talking about. Your attention span goes to this, and you got to have 20 different things that you're looking at the same time so that you can go from one to the other, like a bee to the flower. Did you teach the new math?
No, basically, most of my career was as a reading specialist.
Okay.
I did teach some primary classes, and you know, the math was a part of the curriculum. So whatever came out, I taught, but mostly focused on literacy.
That's good. Language for sure. I was just going to say the new math, if you're a tech person, you can see it just like that, because
You're talking about the Common Core.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was coming in after I was in the classroom,
Yeah.
but I did support it. And, you know, if you understand what's going on, you get it.
Yes. And if you're a tech person, you get it like instantly, because that's what's going on. They're trying to reconfigure the way you think about math in the same way that a computer thinks about math.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, coming back, and Vella was just a lifesaver for me. Short episodes. I immediately put up like 3 of them so that I could move from one to the other.
Right.
You know, and I think it's just great to be able to do that, actually get it out there and published. It's great to be able to read all of these other voices. And I say this a lot in my videos because it is true. I am astonished at the quality of it. Astonished, because I would have thought that the whole platform would have been filled with nothing but trash by now.
And it's not. Right.
At all. So yeah, I mean, there are some fantastic writers writing for Vella right now. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be part of this new thing. And I think we're all, you know, I feel like we're all on this big ship. We don't know where it's going, but you know, we're going ahead and we're seeing what's up there in the future, and it's a lot of fun. And the Vella community just couldn't be any better. So you guys, the last question I'm going to ask Alethea is, what would you like to say to the folks that will be clicking on the link below and learning about Charlotte and the Demons and some of the other things you've written along with your shout outs and stuff? What would you like to say to them? Well,
Charlotte and the Demons might appear to be a story for kids because there's a young narrator, but it isn't. It is a story of a girl who's 9, and a door to hell opens in her bedroom closet, and she is dealing with hell on earth because of her parents' situation, domestic violence. Her father is a cop. He's on the vice squad, and so he's dealing with sort of a hellish reality himself. And so she prays to have a guardian angel, and what she gets is a guardian demon, who is a young man who has condemned himself to hell because he did something stupid and killed his sister. And he's a demon with a halo, which makes his life difficult. And so the story conspires with hell and her own family. And so there's 3 sections: when she's 9, when she's 12, and when she's 15. And she has to deal with various demons. She has journeys to hell, and so it's a story of redemption, actually, with a lot of humor. She's a great character. She's got a really good sense of humor.
That's great.
And
And so that would be what they're going to find when they click on Charlotte. And
Right.
yeah.
So I've also written 2 science fiction books. One's called Hungry and one's called Starved. And I wrote this with a reading specialist. These are for kids, I would say about 12, but adults like them a lot. Again, a lot of humor. And it's about a girl on Earth who's actually an alien, and her family is preparing for the Great Invasion. And so her species wants to come and harvest Earth. And so she's torn between her feelings and her loyalty to her friends and to the home world.
Woo.
And then my other novel is called Whispers of the Old Ones, which takes place in an alternative Northern California, sort of an alternative history about 2 girls who believe they're sisters. And one of them is fulfilling indigenous prophecy, but both of them are endangered, and they have to go on this dangerous trip to figure out what's going on. So
Very cool.
those are my novels.
Well, thank you so much, Alethea, for being here today. I've enjoyed it.
I appreciate this, and I feel like I've made a new friend, and I look forward to watching more of these.
Oh,
Thank
yes,
you.
indeed, you have made a new friend. All of us are together out here in Vella land.
Okay. Right. Thank
Take
you.
it easy. This is Az signing off. Bye-bye.